Back to the Ed Show tonight. Right-wingers are desperate to kill the health care reform bill, and they're running out of time. So they're pulling out all the big guns. They're bringing God into the picture and the conversation. Listen to Iowa Congressman Steve King and Glenn Beck talking about the House health care vote on the Baxter's radio show.
They intend to vote on the Sabbath during Lent to take away the liberty that we have from God.
Faith has been perverted. If they are going to vote for this damn thing on a Sunday, which is the Sabbath, during Lent, you couldn't have said it better. Here is a group of people that have so perverted our faith and our hope and our charity that this is an affront to God.
Okay, history lesson time. Beck and, of course, King, they seem to conveniently have forgotten that in 2005, the bill that allowed the courts to intervene in the Terry Schiavo case was passed by a Republican-controlled Senate on Palm Sunday. For more, let me bring in Reverend Barry Lynn, Executive Director of Americans United for Separation of Church and State. Reverend, good to have you with us tonight. A little hypocrisy going on here. What do you think?
Oh, overwhelming hypocrisy. They're bringing back members of Congress on Palm Sunday to vote for the Terry Schiavo matter. Of course, in the Terry Schiavo case, there really was an effort by Congress to micromanage the health care and the medical decision-making of doctors 1,200 miles away. They saw that as no problem. Now, hypocritically, they moan about this vote that might occur on Sunday and forget that they're also making these ridiculous arguments that this health care bill somehow impedes people's choices about medical attention. It's utter hypocrisy, and they don't even understand what the Sabbath is. Although Congressman King and Glenn Beck apparently believe everybody celebrates the Sabbath on the same day, the truth of the matter is that Jewish Americans, members of the Seventh-day Adventist Church, all of those folks will already be finished with their Sabbath. This is the Sabbath as practiced by their fundamentalist Christian allies.
Reverend, the moral equivalent to this, is it a vote that has moral fiber to it, in your opinion? I mean, should the moral factor of this be really weighing on those who are making the final decision?
Well, I think every law has a moral condition, an ethical dimension. I don't think that we should be making laws in the Congress of the United States based on anybody's scriptural understanding or based on what a holy figure says. And ironically, in this case, of course, Jesus, a fellow named Jesus that many people are familiar with, actually said you can work on the Sabbath because the Sabbath was made for man, not man for the Sabbath. He went specifically and said healing, of course, can be done on the Sabbath. So if those Republicans who are grousing about this want to do something good for healing, I guess if they want to keep the current medical health care system in this country, 45,000 people die because they don't have health insurance, go right ahead. They can vote that way on Sunday, but it's hypocritical.
Yeah.
They are the ones who are constantly bringing religious arguments into the debate. It shouldn't be there. We've got commonly shared values as Americans that ought to define this debate and evidence to look at.
Reverend, let's talk about the Catholic Church for a moment. What do you make of the split between the nuns and the bishops on this issue?
Well, I'll tell you, it's symptomatic of a split between church-going Catholics all over the country and the bishops. The United States Catholic Conference does not speak for a lot of rank-and-file Catholics. Many of us have known that for many, many years. And I think what this shows is that there is a legitimate and forceful debate where those nuns who are saying, look, whatever the health care bill does, it's going to do a lot of good, and that they should never, the bishops should never have encrusted this bill with all of this religious anti-choice language, which sadly is in both the Senate and the House bill. Mr. Stupak said it was because he was a Roman Catholic that he decided to add his so-called Stupak anti-choice amendment. I'm telling you, he said that to the New York Times, but the truth is, I guess you give him some points for honesty because most people don't admit it, but that's, of course, the driving force in this one issue. It shouldn't have been in this bill at all.
Reverend, good to have you with us tonight. Thanks so much.
Always nice to be here. Thank you.
You bet. Coming up, the right